Hi everyone, welcome to the hands-on guide to screen reader compatibility testing, iOS edition. In this session, we'll focus on how screen readers function on mobile devices, focusing on VoiceOver for iOS. We'll explore how to launch VoiceOver on an iPhone, cover basic commands to start screen reader accessibility testing on iOS, and walk through hands-on examples to understand how to ensure your mobile apps and websites are accessible to all users. Thanks for joining, and let's get started. This video is a part of the Udemy course Gen AI and Other Software Testing Tools Every QA Should Know. The course also includes many useful tools for effective work as a QA engineer. For more information, please check the description of the video below. In our last session, we discussed how to use VoiceOver on the Mac operating system. With that, we've covered desktop accessibility testing for both Windows and Mac devices. However, that's not enough to say that you truly know how to test for screen reader accessibility. It's because, in the real world, people often use mobile phones to access digital content, so applications must be accessible on these devices as well. In this video, our goal is to expand our knowledge and learn how to test screen reader accessibility on mobile devices with a special focus on iOS platform. So let's start from the very beginning by answering the question, how do you launch VoiceOver on iOS? VoiceOver is the built-in screen reader for iOS, and enabling it is the first step in performing accessibility testing on mobile devices. Let's go through the steps to enable VoiceOver. Follow along carefully and make sure your iPhone or iPad is ready to use. First, unlock your device and look for the Settings app. This is where most of the device's settings and configurations are managed. Tap on it to open the menu. Once you are in the Settings app, scroll down through the list of options. You will find accessibility under the General section, or it may be directly listed depending on your iOS version. Tap on Accessibility to access the accessibility features. Now that you are in the accessibility menu, you'll see a section called Vision. The section is specifically designed for visual accessibility features, and VoiceOver will be listed there as one of the options. Tap on VoiceOver to open its settings. Once you are in the VoiceOver settings, you'll see a toggle switch at the top of the screen. By default, VoiceOver is turned off. To turn it on, simply tap the switch to enable it. Once VoiceOver is turned on, your device will immediately begin reading out the elements on the screen. You'll hear the names of apps, buttons, and text as you move around the interface. While this is an important feature for testing accessibility, it also means that your phone's navigation is now different. This change can make it difficult to navigate easily to settings or switch VoiceOver on and off every time you want to test something. To save time and make your testing process more efficient, we recommend setting up one more way to enable VoiceOver, the accessibility shortcut. For that reason, scroll down in the accessibility menu and find the accessibility shortcut option and click on it. You'll see a list of features that you can assign to the shortcut. From the list, select VoiceOver by checking the box next to it, and this will enable you to quickly toggle VoiceOver on and off without having to navigate through the settings each time. Now you can turn VoiceOver on at any time by simply triple-clicking the side button or the home button on older devices. This quick action will immediately enable VoiceOver, allowing you to easily switch between accessibility testing and regular navigation. If you want to turn VoiceOver off, simply triple-click the side button or home button again, and it will deactivate VoiceOver, returning your device to its standard navigation mode. Now that you know how to enable VoiceOver on an iOS mobile device and understand that using it requires knowledge of basic navigation, as it differs from standard navigation, let's move on to the next question: how to test with VoiceOver on iOS. In the previous lectures, we learned how to use the keyboard for accessibility testing. However, since we are now working with a mobile device, things are a bit different. Unlike desktop or laptop devices, mobile devices do not have a keyboard as the default input method. Instead, we rely on touch gestures and screen navigation to interact with the device, which is crucial for testing accessibility on mobile platforms like iOS. Therefore, it's important to know at least the basic touch gestures to proceed effectively with accessibility testing on mobile devices. Let's go over several of them so you can get comfortable with navigating using gestures. To better visualize this, let's navigate to our website testing101.net and first practice basic navigation with VoiceOver. Once we're comfortable with the navigation, we'll proceed to test the form we've prepared. This will give us a chance to evaluate how VoiceOver interacts with various elements, including buttons, input fields, and links, ensuring the form is fully accessible. Let's get started. Once the home page is opened, triple-click the Home button to enable VoiceOver. After the tool is activated, you should notice that the focus is automatically placed on the search field, which is displayed at the top of the page. This means that VoiceOver is now reading out the elements on the page, starting with the search bar. Now let's move on to a few basic gestures to get started. The first one is swiping right with one finger. This gesture moves the focus to the next item on the screen. For example, when you swipe right, VoiceOver will read out the next element. In our case, while we're focused on the search field, if you swipe right, you'll notice that the focus moves to the next element, which is the Software Testing 101 title. This demonstrates how VoiceOver moves through the page in a logical order, reading out each element as you navigate. If you need to return to the previous element, swipe left with the finger gesture. This action moves the focus to the previous item on the screen. For example, if you swiped right earlier and moved to the Software Testing 101 title. Swiping left will bring the focus back to the search field. This gesture helps you navigate backward through the page, allowing for easy exploration of elements in both directions. Let's proceed with the next gesture you should know: double tap anywhere. This gesture is used to select an item or activate it. For example, if you have focused on a search button or link, a double tap will perform the action associated with that element. Double tapping on a search button will open the keyboard, allowing you to input a search query. After entering the query, submitting it may trigger a loading screen or show relevant results. This gesture is essential for activating interactive elements, especially those requiring user input, and is key to testing accessibility for buttons and links. Let's move on to the next gesture. Once VoiceOver is activated, you can't scroll the page using a regular swipe. Instead, you'll need to swipe with 3 fingers to scroll up or down. This gesture helps you navigate through the content on the page, whether you're reading more text or exploring different sections. For example, swiping up with 3 fingers on the homepage will scroll down and reveal additional content. As you scroll down, you will discover more content, such as additional sections or items available on the page. Depending on the layout, the content may be organized into multiple sections or pages, like page 1, page 2, page 3, and so on. This allows you to explore and interact with more content as you continue scrolling. The next gesture is swiping up with 2 fingers. This action will make VoiceOver read all the content from the top of the page. It's a useful gesture when you want to quickly listen to everything on the screen, starting from the very beginning, including headings, links, and other elements. One more basic gesture you definitely need to know is tap with 2 fingers. This will pause or resume speech. If VoiceOver is reading aloud and you want to temporarily stop it, simply tap with 2 fingers. To resume reading, tap again, and VoiceOver will continue from where it left off. We've covered the basic VoiceOver navigation commands on iOS, but there are many more gestures available. To explore and customize them, go to VoiceOver settings and select commands to view and adjust the full list of gestures. Then choose Touch Gestures. This will open a detailed list of all touch-based gestures available for VoiceOver. Here, you can explore gestures for different actions, such as swiping, tapping, and scrolling. You can also modify the existing gestures or disable specific ones according to your preferences and accessibility needs, allowing for a more personalized navigation experience. Now that we know how to launch VoiceOver on iOS and use the basic gestures for navigation, let's move forward and practice by answering the question, how to test a form using VoiceOver on iOS. To begin, we'll test a form that contains known accessibility issues. It's the same form that we used in previous videos, but keep in mind that its behavior can vary across platforms, desktop versus mobile, iOS versus Android, and even between browsers like Chrome and Firefox. Let's get started. As an example, we will use the form available on our Testing 101 website, specifically under the Automation tab. You can navigate to this form using VoiceOver and try to identify accessibility issues in practice. Let's take a look at the video demonstration.
Automation, visited, link. Open navigation menu, button, banner, landmark. Software testing 101, visited, link. Search, ellipsis. Search, ellipsis. Search field, search, landmark. Test registration form, heading, main, landmark. This page was created as part of the Automation Testing with Java for Manual Testers course on Udemy. This page was created as part of the Automation Testing with Java for Manual Testers course on Udemy. A11Y. Test sign up, heading. First name, text field. Last name, text field. Star. Email, star email, text field, required. In account type, form start. Personal, radio button, unticked, 1 of 2. Ticked. Business, radio button, unticked, 2 of 2. Date and time. Separator, dimmed. Star terms and conditions, checkbox, unticked. Star. Terms and conditions. Submit, button. Submit, comma. Please fill in required fields. Email, description.
So, this is how the screen reader reads the form on our website. As usual, at first glance, everything might seem fine. However, that is not entirely true. Let's focus on the accessibility issues that can be observed while testing the form. The first issue we encountered is that each element is announced twice when navigating with a mobile screen reader. This behavior can be confusing for users and goes against accessibility best practices, as it creates unnecessary repetition and disrupts the user experience. To address the issue of elements being announced twice by screen readers, you may refer to WCAG 4.1.2, Name, Role, Value, which states that UI elements must have clear names and roles so assistive technologies can interpret them correctly. Duplicate announcements often result from incorrectly applied area roles or labels. Additionally, WCAG 1.3.1, Info and Relationships, requires that structure and relationships be accurately conveyed, which may be affected if labels or DOM order are misaligned. The next issue you may observe is an incorrect swipe navigation sequence in the mobile UI. Instead of moving logically from left to right or top to bottom, the focus jumps unpredictably. This disrupts the expected reading order and can confuse users relying on screen readers. You can find more details about this issue and the expected behavior in WCAG 2.4.3 Focus Order. This guideline requires that navigation through content follow a meaningful and logical order. When the swipe focus jumps unpredictably, it breaks this guideline, making it harder for users to understand and interact with the interface effectively. The next issue observed in the current form is that the date and time input field is not announced by the screen reader when it receives focus. As a result, users who rely on assistive technologies may be unaware of the field's presence and purpose, which can prevent them from completing the form correctly. To better understand the issue, you may refer to WCAG 4.1.2, Name, Role, Value. This guideline states that all user interface components must have a programmatically defined name, role, and value so that assistive technologies like VoiceOver can interpret and present them correctly to users. Another issue you may observe during accessibility testing is that when the screen reader focus lands on the privacy policy checkbox, the page unexpectedly scrolls up, causing the checkbox to move off screen. As a result, the user cannot see the element they are interacting with, which creates confusion and breaks the natural navigation flow. This issue with the privacy policy checkbox is also directly related to WCAG 3.2.1 on focus, which states that when any user interface component receives focus, it does not initiate a change of context. In simple terms, when a user navigates to an element, like a checkbox, it shouldn't trigger any unexpected actions, such as scrolling the page, opening a new window, or moving focus elsewhere. Another accessibility issue we've identified involves the informational icons that are meant to display error messages for form fields. While these icons are visible to sighted users and typically offer tooltips or visual cues about form validation issues, they are not introduced to screen reader users at all. This violates WCAG 1.1.1 non-text content, which states that all meaningful visual content must have a text alternative. Additionally, if the icon is interactive, such as opening a tooltip with an error explanation, it falls under WCAG 4.1.2, Name, Role, Value, which requires proper semantic markup and area attributes so assistive technologies can interpret and communicate these elements accurately. Now that you are aware of several issues that might occur when testing a form with a screen reader, let's examine a form that has better accessibility. In particular, we will review the Create Account page on Apple's website. Navigate to the corresponding account.apple.com account webpage. Let's take a look at the video demonstration.
Create your Apple account. Link. Apple account. Visited. Link local. Navigation. Landmark. Open menu. Button. End. Local. Navigation. Create your Apple account. Heading level 1. Main. Landmark. One Apple account is all you need to access all Apple services. Already have an Apple account? Sign in opens in a new window. Link. First name. Text field. Last country/region, United Kingdom, pop-up button. Date of birth. Help. Date of birth. Description. This information is used to determine the services available for your account. Day. Pop-up button. Form start. Month. Year. Name at example.com. Text field. Double tap to edit. This will be your new Apple account. Password. Description. Strength 0% password requirements. Avoid passwords that you use with other websites or that might be easy for someone else to guess. Confirm password. Country options. +44. Phone number. Text field. Help. Phone number. Description. This phone number will be used to verify your identity and reset your password should you ever forget it. Button. Make sure you enter a phone number you can verify with a form start. Text message. Radio button. Ticked. 1 of 2. Phone call. Announcements. Receive Apple emails and communications including announcements, marketing, recommendations and updates about Apple products, services and software. Checkbox. Ticked. Announcement. Receive apps. Music. Apps. Receive Apple email. Image challenge. Image. Type the characters in the image. Text field. New code. Button. Visually impaired. Button. Privacy icon. Image. Your Apple account information. See how your data is. Continue. Button. End. First name. Description. First name error. Enter your first name. Text field.
So, as you may notice, this version of the form is much more accessible and does not contain the issues we encountered in the first form. In particular, almost every element is announced only once by the screen reader besides data of birth with a clear and non-redundant label, and provides the correct role and value without any duplication. In the second form, the focus order works as expected. The page can be navigated sequentially, with focusable components receiving focus in a logical order that preserves both meaning and operability. As users navigate through the form, each field receives focus in a predictable and intuitive sequence. Additionally, as you may notice, all interactive elements in the second form are accessible and properly introduced by screen readers. Each button, checkbox, input field, and other focusable elements are correctly labeled, allowing users to understand their purpose and interact with them seamlessly. In addition, the icons have an appropriate, accessible name or labels that clearly conveys their purpose. Each icon, such as an informational icon or error message indicator, is properly labeled with a descriptive text or area label, ensuring that screen reader users can easily understand what the icon represents. And finally, in the second form, when an interactive element gains focus, it does so without causing unexpected page scrolling, ensuring that the user's current position remains stable. Focus transitions smoothly from one element to the next without shifting the page unexpectedly, allowing users to maintain their place on the form. Thus, we have reviewed the issues and compared them with a proper implementation to highlight how to avoid accessibility problems. Of course, these are just a few examples. There are many more potential issues to consider. You can also explore the table of common screen reader compatibility bugs on mobile displayed on the screen for a broader understanding. This video is a part of the Udemy course Gen AI and Other Software Testing Tools Every QA Should Know. The course also includes many useful tools for effective work as a QA engineer. For more information, please check the description of the video below. The course is structured around 8 focus lectures, each dedicated to a key aspect of accessibility testing. You can see the full list of topics on the screen, including what is accessibility testing, keyboard navigation and focus order, screen reader compatibility, NVDA Windows, VoiceOver macOS, VoiceOver on iOS, TalkBack on Android, and color contrast and visual impairments. Throughout the course, you'll explore key questions like: why does accessibility testing matter? You'll understand how it impacts real users, supports inclusivity, and helps meet legal and business requirements. You'll also learn what the official accessibility standards are, such as WCAG, where to find them, and the key principles: perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust, to guide your testing. And finally, we'll cover what exactly is tested in accessibility, from keyboard navigation and screen reader compatibility to visual contrast and mobile accessibility, giving you a practical foundation for testing across devices and platforms. Each lecture is structured to give you a solid understanding of why the topics matter, how to test it effectively, which tools to use and how, and what common issues are associated with each area. Our goal is to bridge the gap between theory and practice so you can start applying what you've learned right away. Almost every lecture in this course is practical, ensuring that you not only learn the theory but also see how accessibility is applied in real-world scenarios across different platforms. You'll get hands-on experience in performing accessibility testing on Windows with practical examples that show you how to navigate common issues and use the right tools. You'll also learn how to deal with accessibility on macOS, covering platform-specific features and tools for effective testing on Apple devices, including how to use VoiceOver as well as basic macOS navigation techniques to ensure comprehensive accessibility testing. Additionally, we'll guide you through accessibility testing on iOS and Android devices, helping you understand how to apply accessibility practices on mobile platforms, including testing with screen readers and touch gestures. For every major topic, we've selected specific tools and platforms to explore in detail. This approach ensures that you gain hands-on experience with the most widely used tools in accessibility testing, allowing you to apply your knowledge directly in real-world scenarios. We will also show you the expected behavior for each particular accessibility feature, so you can clearly understand how proper accessibility looks like in practice. To guide our testing and recommendations, we'll rely on WCAG standards as the source of truth, ensuring alignment with internationally recognized guidelines for web accessibility. What also makes this course unique is that we include video demonstrations of common accessibility bugs. You'll see real web pages with accessibility problems and then compare them with improved versions that follow best practices. This comparison helps you visually understand the impact of poor design choices. The tools and techniques covered span desktop, Windows and macOS, mobile iOS and Android, and web platforms, including browsers like Chrome and Safari. Whether you're testing with a screen reader, keyboard navigation, or color contrast analyzer, we show you exactly how it's done. Are you ready to explore a new and meaningful area of testing? Then this course is for you. Gain practical skills, boost your testing expertise, and become a champion of digital inclusivity. Enroll now and let's dive in. Thank you for watching this introduction, and welcome to the journey of accessibility testing.